Hello guys and gals, and this is part 5. Double checking. Yeah, part 5. And we ended this with Jawser, I believe. Anyways, as always, we'll start with the copyright information. We will be reading from Mythical Monsters, Legendary Fearsome Creatures. And, okay, let's do it. Here we go. By Gerrie, McCall, and Chris McNab. This is a book by Scholastic. And let's just see where we're at, and we'll go from there. So last time we read about, Footslong, Gorgon, Griffin, Hatabwari, and Jawser, which means that we are at the Kraken. Now, the Kraken is really popular. You know, there's that popular movie where they say, release the Kraken. I think that was Clash of the Titans, and I haven't seen the sequel, but they probably say that too, because I believe that it was just like a remake or something. I actually liked them Clash of the Titans. It was really a fascinating. But yep, we read about Jawser. Now we're going to read about the Kraken. Okay, let's see what we got here. Eyes. Well, it's got several heads. That's fascinating. Okay, it says, Kraken. These provide superb vision like the eyes of octopuses and squid. Now, the plural of octopus is octopi, I think. But octopuses is also acceptable. Heads. In many folk tales, the Kraken is said to have 3 huge identical heads. Okay. Beaks, or beak. Okay. Each head has a gaping chasm of a mouth shaped like a beak of a parrot. So it's basically like a squid. I think that squids have beaks. Suckers. Huge suckers on the rubbery tentacles hold a ship in a vice-like grip. Hey, that rhymes. Ship in a vice-like grip. Okay. Tentacles. Oh boy. Oh, when a Kraken surfaces, its long tentacles spread far across the water in all directions. Okay, so we have the basics down. Let's go from here. Okay. It says that it is 0.6 miles, 1 kilometer across. Wow. That's huge. Okay. Now, we're going to look at the picture of this Kraken here while I read this. Since medieval times, sailors and fishermen from Western Europe, especially Scandinavia, have told of a vast tentacled sea monster that lives in the ocean depths. The Kraken is a mountain of a creature dwarfing the largest of whales. In one book on the natural history of Norway, published in 1754, the Bishop of Bergen even claimed that the monster's body was almost 1.5 miles, 2.5 kilometers in circumference. Okay, now we're going to read the rest of this. In the seas off northern Europe, a travel-weary captain sights land at last. His charts make no reference to the strangely rounded islands, but he trusts his eyes and steers his ship towards them. But as he draws closer, the captain realizes his mistake with horror. The islands erupt from the sea to reveal a huge Kraken. The waking monster seizes the ship in a mighty tentacle and plunges it beneath the boiling water. Grasping one of the crew with another... grasping one of the crew with another tentacle, it lifts them screaming into its gaping beak. Where in the world? It says Norway. Okay. Most of the legend tell us the Kraken lives around the coast of Scandinavia, especially in the deep waters off Norway, but similar tales also come from other coastal areas of Europe. So that's good to know. Okay, now we'll go over the did you know stuff. In some tales, the Kraken has 1,000 tentacles and 10 mouths. Okay, that's horrifying. There are reports of accidental Kraken strandings. In 1680, a young Kraken supposedly died after it was caught on the reefs off Alstedhang in Norway, and in 1775 another was found on the Isle of Bute in Scotland. The English 19th century poet Alfred Lord Tennyson wrote a poem, The Kraken, inspired by the myths. Okay, let's see what's next. We are to Ladon. I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. Ladon. Head. The 100 heads never sleep, and Ladon's 200 blazing eyes perpetually keep watch over the garden of the Hesperides. I think I pronounced that right. Hesperides? I don't remember. Body, it says, okay, Ladon's muscular serpentine body has a grip so tight that no more mortal can pry him off. He tortures his victim by squeezing the life out of them, slowly suffocating them in his coils. So I guess he's a lot like a snake. But I've always pictured him as a dragon, so maybe he's a snake-like dragon. Jaws. Each one of the awful heads speaks in a different voice, from jaws lined with teeth as sharp as knives. And tail. Ladon's thick tail fatally lashes anyone unwise enough to approach the dragon from the rear. Okay, so you don't want to, you never want to approach a dragon from behind. I mean, that just isn't common sense. Okay, looks like he died. Okay. In Greek mythology, there is a monstrous dragon with 100 heads who twines his serpentine body around the tree bearing golden apples. The beast is Ladon, and he was placed in the garden of the Hesperides by Hera, queen of the Olympians. His task is to guard the garden and its golden apples. Not one of Ladon's 100 heads ever sleeps, and each head speaks with a different voice. Ladon's 200 fiery, watchful eyes ensure that no one approaches the golden apples. Anyone who dares to sail to the end of the earth in search of Hera's golden apples risks being torn to pieces by Ladon's gigantic teeth, or squeezed to death in the coils of his muscular body. Okay, it says here, the king of Mycenae tests Heracles by assigning him 12 labors. The 11th labor requires Heracles to steal the golden apples that Ladon guards. Heracles dips his arrow tips in the gall of a hydra and fires the poisonous arrows over the garden wall at Ladon. The awful dragon is felled by the poisoned arrows, and Heracles enters the garden safely. He steals the apples and completes the 11th labor. Passing sailors later report having seen the slain Ladon with only the tip of his tail still twitching. Ooh. So I guess maybe he didn't die. Where in the world? Says the Garden of Hesperides, where Ladon winds around the tree of golden apples, lies in the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa, not far from Mount Atlas. And that's a totally different story. It says, did you know? After his death, Hera placed Ladon in the sky as the constellation Draco, where he snakes around the North Pole eternally. Where blood from Ladon's wounds drenched the ground, dragon trees sprouted from each drop. Dragon trees have massive trunks and twisted branches. The sap, called dragon tree blood, is dark red and is believed to have healing properties. In Roman mythology, Heracles is known as Hercules, and Hera is called Juno. The Latin word for dragon, Draco, means snake or serpent. Direct frontal attack is the least favorable way to slay a dragon. Heracles is wise enough to maintain a safe distance from the beast and use the stout garden wall as a shield. Indeed. Okay. Now we're ready for the Minotaur. Well, let's see what we got here. No, this is more Greek mythology. I believe that the Minotaur's actual name was Astrion. Something like that. I used to know. I don't know now. Head. The great furry head and neck were those of a fearsome bull. Yep. Eyes. Cold eyes glowed with hatred. Okay. Yeah. This is going to be an interesting story. I hope I don't have to censor any of this out. But Greek mythology is full of all kinds of, well, questionable things that we'd see questionable today. Anyways, horns. Victims were gored to death by the beast's huge curved horns. Tail. A long tufted ox tail sprouted from behind. Yeah, okay. We're going to go into this. I might have to censor some of this. I don't know, because I know the story all too well. The Minotaur was born after King Minos angered the sea god Poseidon. Poseidon had sent a snow-white bull for Minos to sacrifice, but Minos couldn't bring himself to kill the bull. Poseidon was furious and punished Minos by making his wife, Queen Pasiphae, fall in love with the animal. Pasiphae produced a child with a grotesque bull's head and a taste for human flesh. Minos ordered the master craftsman Daedalus to make a vast underground maze to house the monster. The Minotaur was put inside where it remained lost in the darkness. Every so often, human victims were forced into the maze as sacrifices. The Minotaur was finally vanquished by Theseus, one of the great Greek heroes. And I do want to mention that this is a children's book, so they really censored that pretty well, I'd like to think. Because, never mind. We're going to keep on reading this. It says, Theseus and his companion were sent from Athens as a sacrifice. Forced into the labyrinth, they faced a maze of dark passages. Theseus told the Athenians to stay near the entrance while he went in search of the Minotaur. Armed with a sword and a ball of thread, tying the end of the thread to a doorpost, Theseus picked his way through the tunnels of the maze, unraveling the ball as he went. He knew that after killing the beast, he would be able to retrace his steps and escape the maze by following the thread. Suddenly, the beast was upon him, charging with horns lowered. A fight ensued until, summoning all of his strength, Theseus plunged his sword through the Minotaur's neck, severing its head from its body. Where in the world? The mythical Minotaur was said to live in Knossos, on the Isle of Crete in the eastern Mediterranean. Theseus, who slew the beast, came from the city of Athens on the Greek mainland. Okay, now, did you know? The story of Theseus slaying the Minotaur could be a symbolic version of real historical events, representing the Greek overthrow of Minoan power in 1450 BC. Artifacts from ancient Crete show athletes performing the death-defying bull leaping ceremony. Each athlete would face a wild charging bull, gripping its spiked horns and vaulting or somersault over the animal's back. The Nemean lion was another Greek monster, a giant beast invulnerable to wounds. I don't think the Nemean lion is in this one, but that was fascinating. Let's see, we're 13 minutes. We will do another one. Okay, we are to Oni. Yeah, okay. Oni. A Japanese, I believe, monster. Hands. Onis are immensely strong and can tear down walls with their sharp claws. Again, that rhymes. Walls and claws. Okay. Face. Some Onis have the head of cattle or horses. Really? But most have human features with 3 eyes and a hidden hole of a mouth that stretches from ear to ear. Ooh, that's kind of like the Joker in The Dark Knight. You know, he had that extra wide mouth. And then he cut the guys, you know, he took the knife and cut that one guy, you know. Why so serious? That was his catchphrase. Anyway, fangs. Onis have long, curved fangs like those of a tiger, and in some tales they are said to gorge on human flesh. Okay, that's really reassuring. Pants. In Chinese myth, Kimon gate separates demons from the earth, and as this faces the And as this faces the tiger of the zodiac, the Oni usually wears tiger skin pants. Okay, so he wears tiger skin pants. That is fascinating. Yep. It says Onis usually have 3 horns, either like those of a bull or taking the form of writhing snakes with venom-primed fangs. Ew. Okay, that's fascinating. Let's move on. They are about man-sized, or human-sized, if you're into the D&D stuff. You know, there's larger than man size and something like that. Or humanoid size or something like that. I don't remember. Anyways. Okay. It says here, whistling gaily as it works, the ghastly creature delights in tormenting the people of Japan. That is right. The Oni is a Japanese monster. Avoiding detection by flitting invisibly through the air or taking human form, once a Shinto god, it became an evil spirit after Buddhism spread into Japan from China in the 6th century AD. Its earthly guise it causes disasters, famine, and disease, while its demonic form steals sinners' souls. Many Onis have green or red skin. They suffer continual hunger and often have enormous bellies. Hunting down sinners, they take them in a fiery chariot to hell. Oh, that is really reassuring for a children's book. Anyways, it says, the inhabitants of this small Japanese village are blissfully unaware that the extremely dangerous Oni is hovering above, waiting to cast an evil spell on them. As it swirls above the village, considering what damage it can cause, the residents are getting on with their everyday lives, unaware that their lives are about to be completely transformed. What devastation the Oni will bring, nobody knows. Its sheer strength and power could cast a spell causing a terrifying earthquake, a deadly disease, or even a terrible famine. Wow. Okay. Where in the world? Japan. Onis live in the mortal world. Onis living in the mortal world are found almost exclusively in Japan, although they are thought to have originated in China. Other Onis, known as Gaki, inhabit the spirit world, or Jigoku, hell underground. Did you know? A woman may turn into an Oni under the stress of jealousy or grief, while other Onis may be the souls of people who died of plague or famine. The Buddhist sage Nichiren, I'm going to focus on that, I think it's pronounced Nichiren, regarded the Onis as a punishment for the sins of the Japanese, so he founded a school to reform people. Although female Onis take the form of beautiful women, they are prone to violent outbursts of rage. Wow. Okay. Of course, an Oni could also be explained by a mental illness. I mean, people with borderline are prone to violent outbursts. We have time for at least one more, so we'll read about another dragon. This one is Ryujin, which I think is what Ken and Ryu say when they do the Hadouken fireball. But I digress. That's my once per list, or whatever it's called. Anyways, head. The noble head bears the horns of a stag, whiskers that indicate his wisdom, and eyes that see everything from the very bottom of the ocean. So does he live under the sea? Darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. It says claws. Floods result when Ryujin takes his impressive claws through the ocean. A swipe of his foot is capable of capsizing an entire fleet of ships. Okay. Jaws. When Ryujin opens his enormous toothy jaw and inhales, giant whirlpools appear in the water. Okay. Body. Ryujin winds his massive scaly body through the chambers of his underwater palace, far beyond the reach of any fisherman or scientist seeking him. Okay. I like his whiskers. They're cute. A single thrash of Ryujin's tail creates massive tidal waves that wipe out entire coastal villages. Okay, so he's very destructive. But like most dragons, I think he's probably benevolent, but I'm not sure. I don't think he's like vindictive, but I'm not sure. I'm getting ahead of myself here, though. In Japan, here. I don't know. Is he saving those people or trying to eat them? I don't know. In Japanese mythology, Ryujin is the dragon god of the sea. He lives beneath the ocean in a jeweled palace made of red and white coral. His palace has a snowy winter hall, a spring hall where cherry trees grow, a summer hall with chirping crickets, and a fall hall with colorful maple trees. For a human, one day at Ryujin's underwater palace is equal to 100 years on Earth. Sea turtles, fish, and jellyfish act as the dragon god's loyal servants. Ryujin controls the tides with magical sea jewels. Humans must approach Ryujin carefully because no mortal can glimpse his entire body and survive the sight. When angry, Ryujin churns the waves, causing rough waters for sailors. Okay, let's go on. The Empress Jingo asks Ryujin for assistance in the attack she plans against Korea. Ryujin's messenger brings her the two tide jewels. Jingo sails towards Korea with the Japanese fleet. The Korean fleet meets them at sea. Jingo flings the low tide gem into the sea, and all the water disappears, stranding the Korean ships. When the Korean soldiers leap from their ships to attack on foot, Jingo casts the high tide jewel into the seabed. All the water rushes back, drowning the Korean soldiers. Okay, this sounds a lot like the biblical story of Moses crossing the Red Sea. I'm just saying that because that's kind of what happened when Moses raised his staff or rod or whatever it was. Then the sea parted on dry land, and they were able to cross. But when the Egyptians tried to cross, then Moses lowered his hands, and the water receded and went back to normal and killed all of them, including the Pharaoh. Where in the world? Ryujin, the dragon god of the sea, lives at the bottom of the ocean, near the Ryukyu Island off the coast of Japan. Did you know? Ryujin's beautiful daughter married Prince Huri. This makes Ryujin the ancestor of all the Japanese emperors. Okay, I didn't realize that. Because Japanese dragons are related to royalty, no one is allowed to harm them. Since they have nothing to fear from humans, Japanese dragons have become tame over the years. Dragons may be seen blocking traffic in cities or sunning themselves on rocks off Japanese shores. Japan's shores. Okay, I'm not going to think on that one too much. Many dragons are shapeshifters. They can change into the form of a human, mate, and produce human offspring. I'm just thinking that would be kind of a shock, if you met somebody, you have kids with them, and suddenly they turn into a dragon. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I would react to that. In both Japan and China, the dragon is one of the guardian animals of the four directions. The dragon guards the eastern compass point and is associated with the season of spring. Okay. We are probably going to leave this here. We will do Shenlong later, I believe. I don't want these to get too long. Let's see. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we did 5. If we can get 5 of these done, then I'm happy. So next time we will be doing Shenlong. I wonder if that's related to the Dragon Ball Z Dragon Shenlong, but I don't know. The Sphinx, Thunderbird, Dracula, and Glaurung. I believe that'll be 5. And we're getting into the J.R.R. Tolkien dragons, because I know that Smaug is in here too. These are alphabetical, but Smaug is right here. There's Smaug. Smaug. It's pronounced Smaug, I know. And Benedict Cumberbatch did the voice of Smaug when they did the live-action Hobbit thing. But that's Mythical Monsters. Legendary Fearsome Creatures. And again, this is a kid's book, and they're talking about people doing and having kids with dragons, and it's really kind of fascinating. Not that I'm complaining. The art in this book is amazing. I love this book. It's really, really a good book. I'm glad I got it. But that will do it for this video. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe, and that you ring the bell so you know when I upload. And I appreciate all the support. All the support information will be in the description below. And if you like this content, again, I really encourage everyone to comment and stuff like that. Anyways, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.